Good morning. Do I still have my southern accent? I feel like I've lived in Indiana long enough to where it's not as bad as what it... Well, I mean, not bad, but... My dad says that I sound less southern than what I have. And it kind of sucks because I am going back to Kentucky for the holidays. And it doesn't, like, everyone there sounds really off to me. And it's like, this is where I grew up. But like, hearing everybody, it's like, okay, you didn't sound like this back when we were in high school together. So it's kind of like a weird thing to where like home doesn't sound like home anymore, just because I'm not used to hearing people talk like that up here where I live in Indiana. So it's kind of weird. Anything mildly southern sounds southern. Fair enough. Also, good morning, everyone. What is this song, by the way? Yes, it is Guillaume. Freezy Peak. Free Easy Peak. Yeah, I don't know where my Santa hat is. Hello. Let's try that again. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Popcast. Whenever you're listening to this, whether it be live or a VOD, Twitch or YouTube, or Spotify, while you are changing your splash tags just minute before Low Inks is starting, having a demon possess your inkling body in the middle of a tournament set, having to drop from Low Ink because one of your players is being forced by their mother to go look at Christmas lights at 3 in the afternoon. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to listen to this, unless I don't. Uh, Congratulations to Greg and his wife as they have welcomed their young baby into this dimension that we all seem to be sharing with each other here. That is the birthing process. I don't know if I've sat here and talked about the day our son was born, but it is wild. It is a wild experience. But from everything that I've seen, Greg, their son, his wife seem to be doing fine, which is awesome. And we're very happy for that. Very happy for them. I know there's another Splatoon baby that is going to be born literally any minute now, I'm assuming, or any hour at this point. So hopefully that all works out for them, and they can announce that, and everybody's safe and happy with that stuff. Future friends for old PJ. I'm sure they'll be running around at lands, wrestling with each other at some point. Just a little minor update here for anybody that's tuning into the stream that was watching yesterday. You know that Monkey of Overtime fell down into hell in the middle of one of the sets and did not return. We did receive an update. That player is currently going through some trials so that they can get back out of hell and join us here in the living world. As of right now, the most recent report I've seen, they're currently at a troll bridge, a bridge guarded by a troll. They have to answer 3 riddles. They've already knocked down the first riddle. They're working on the second one. And I think there's several more trials that go out of that one. But right now they're at the troll bridge. We'll keep you updated if we get any more information along the way there. News of tournaments that may be of interest to the casual listener of the podcast. It's Christmas week, bruh. Come on. Like, don't be playing video games this time around. I guess there is an SOS on Wednesday. And Paddling Pool doesn't believe in any kind of holidays or breaks or anything like that. So Wednesday, I'm sure there's tournaments going on. Other than that, I don't know / care. I'm not doing a Popcast next week because Christmas is on Monday. So this is the last Popcast episode of the year, which means on January 1st, we will do the annual Popcast Year-End Awards, the Popcast Awards. So at some point next week, I'll tweet out the usual thing I do, which is, hey, you guys nominate your players, captains of the years, team of the years, best play, best pickup team name. I forget all the categories. I just copy and paste from the years before. I want to add a new category this time around, best new commentator, best TO. But I want to focus on more commentary awards that we can hand out here. As a reminder, in years past, those things are a mix of your guys' opinions and mine. Sometimes you guys don't correctly guess or correctly nominate the actual TO of the year, whereas I step in and be like, no. You guys don't realize all the stuff this person did behind the scenes that doesn't show up on the front page of the Twitter newspaper or whatever. So keep an eye out for that. Start thinking about people you want to nominate. Today we are going to be recapping Low Inc., the tournament that took place this last weekend. We're going to be looking at every single bracket Saturday through Sunday, as well as give you guys my winners that didn't straight up win the entire tournament. They're not going to get a send-out badge, but they're going to get a pat on the back from yours truly, which is the only reason why most of you are here. So all that and more. But first, if you're Nito, you don't really have to do this, but I do. I got to start off this by offering an apology. As I say I like to do at the end of my Friday episodes of the Popcast, if I screw up anything, if I undervalue you guys, then, well, I'll offer an apology. You get to prove me wrong right then and there over the course of the weekend. To Puma's Cats, I'm sorry. I didn't believe in you. I didn't even mention you. They almost pulled a Rising Matrix. They went 26-0 to start off the tournament combined over the course of the entire weekend. Of course, they didn't win the whole thing, but that doesn't really matter. The point is, I didn't talk about them. I don't think anybody really talked about them. We completely missed this team, even though there was no excuse for us to miss this team. If you just did a simple look into what their past history is, yes, they're low ink eligible, but they should have been seen as a top 5 team, or at least based off of the information of having players that dominated Div 6 with I'm a Little Teacup or whatever their team name was. They were really good. I should have recognized that initially. So I'm sorry. Pumas Cats. I got it all wrong. It's hilarious, actually, because somebody DM'd me last week, was talking about how the OCE teams that were playing in Ludi, a lot of them feel like they're being underseeded or that they're not being properly respected by the TOs and the seeders that are outside of their region. And most people, when somebody DMs me that, I just don't accept it, and then I just ignore it forever, because I get random DMs from people who have suggestions about things that, well, I don't have time to read all of them. But this person I actually engaged in a conversation with. They'd be like, okay, look, you're not understanding. Ludi seeding's a little bit different from how this goes out. But to that person's point of OCE teams feeling like they are being kind of neglected to some extent, at least as far as like not as far as like being excluded from tournaments, but being excluded from getting seeds that they probably rightfully deserve just because they don't stay up super late and play into every single tournament. The narrative about OCE teams, Australia, New Zealand, that region, being undervalued, I think there is some truth to that, though. The issues, the issues is it's just kind of difficult for them to play in some events, which I completely understand. Weeknight tourneys, yeah, probably. Like 8 p.m. Eastern time is like morning time for them, I guess, if they don't have anything to do in the mornings during the weekday. I would assume more would play in Squid Junction. I feel like Squid Junction would be a more ideal tournament time for them. Not ideal in general, but as far as Australia playing with teams from North America, that's the most ideal time frame, I guess. And IPL's tried doing Reef Rushdowns. There's been 2 separate stints of trying to make Reef Rushdown a consistent tournament with 2 different head TOs of that one, trying to get it up and running. It's currently on hiatus yet again, but IPL's made an attempt to kind of make tournaments catered towards that region. It's not been the most easiest thing to do, but there's at least been an attempt to try to get it going there. But OCE has the unfortunate narrative of being laggy, which is just a false narrative. Yes, if I were to play in a match against a team from Australia, is there going to be lag in that match? Yes, 100% yes. That is a fact. I don't care how good my internet is or how good their internet is. There's going to be lag. What's so mind-boggling from my perspective is that we're pointing the finger at them, them being Australia, the OCE region. It's their fault that the lag is coming from them. No, it's not. It's the fact that they're on the other side of the world. It's not their fault. It's both teams' fault for being so far apart. It makes no sense to me when people are pounding the table saying we need to ban certain regions because they're laggy. Okay, but that's just relative to where you live. Why do we need to cater to where you specifically live as to who gets to play in tournaments? Low Ink is not a North American tournament. It's not a Europe tournament. It's not an Australian tournament. It's an international tournament, which makes you kind of wonder, okay, do we talk to Nintendo of the world or to Nintendo America or whatever. I don't really know how that works. But my point being, it's such an annoying narrative that is just automatically pinned on top of an entire region for something they have absolutely no control over. And it's just not a fair thing to talk about. Thankfully, I don't think that was the narrative from the set that we saw in Grand Finals yesterday. Matter of Opinion, that played against them, I saw them talking in the general chat of IPL, basically saying, like, yeah, it was laggy for us, but it was also laggy for them. Like, it's nobody's fault. It's Nintendo's fault. So, like, yeah, there you go. You could say all the right things. But just looking at the chat yesterday, it just made me kind of frustrated. And I know for a fact that if Puma's Cats won that Game 7, somebody's going on Twitter crying and ranting, and then they're going to be like, oh, well, the TOs don't have lag rules. And it's like, okay, what would you want us to do? Just ban one region? Really? That's your alternative? But that is not the narrative that came out from this. What we saw yesterday was some latency issues, but a really fun and a really exciting back and forth grand final set that is worthy to cap off this crazy year of Loic that we've been having up to this point. And when you think about it, how beautiful was it that the grand finals of last Loic was an EU team playing a team from Australia with North American commentators commentating it. That is like that just could blow the mind of anyone from like 15 years ago. And nowadays it's just like, oh yeah, that's just what we do. We got people literally from all around the world focusing on one stupid little video game that we all care way too much about. Puma's Cats went undefeated on day one. That was my first indicator that I really screwed up. Not that, oh, these guys should be banned, but just that, oh, these guys are probably going to do really well on Sunday. I thought they were going to pull the Rising Matrix run. I thought they were going to go like 36-1 or however many wins you can win in the current format. I thought they were going to curb stomp everybody. The reason I thought that was because their main competition, the other big dogs that were in this edition of Low Inc., were nerfed by themselves. The three favorites, my personal top three teams, two of them had players on their rosters that for some asinine reason changed their splash tag just minutes before the tournament started. And then came to us and helped us and be like, hey, we changed our splash tag. Is that okay? No, of course it's not okay. Why would you do that? That is a mistake that you would see the noobish of noob teams in Low Inc do. Not teams that are so good that they are borderline bannable from it. Like that, two of the top three teams did it. The other the other team in the top three managed somehow to sign up for the tournament without their captain on the roster, and then tried to add their captain onto the roster illegally after registration ended. We caught it and we were like, what are you doing? And they're like, oh, that's just our captain. Why was your captain not on the roster when you signed up initially? So all three of the top three teams had at least one player who got kicked off of their roster for their own reasons. They shot themselves in the foot. They completely nerfed themselves. One of those teams would have qualified for top 32. They ended up dropping at the end of Saturday. I don't know if they felt like without that player, they didn't want to like just go get a sub and try to win it, like make a run anyways. They were more than capable of making a run with a sub. There's some really strong subs who sign up and just say, I'm only playing day 2. Like, don't even bother me till you get to alpha bracket. But they didn't want to do that. And, you know, that's their choice. The other team, the team that didn't have their captain, Super Team 5, it looked like they weren't really that affected by it until we got to where we saw them on stream playing overtime. And that Rainmaker game, it really looked like they were losing some direction. I have no idea if their captain is the like shot caller of the team or if it's just like a captain and title. But they looked like they were kind of lost a little bit. All four of them pushing up, and then they over time just said, okay, we're just going to grab this Rainmaker and run away with it. I wonder if that had an effect on them down the stretch. And the other team that had one of their players switch their splash tags right before the tournament started was the team that ended up winning the whole tournament. Imagine that. Hey, okay, you can't play with us. We're going to win this tournament anyways. That person still, like, technically won the tournament. I hope we gave them their badges or not. Let me back up a little bit and just explain why, in case you were wondering, why we don't allow you guys to change your splash tags after registration closes. When you change your name, or you're not changing your splash tags, they're changing their name. In this game, when you change your name, you automatically get a new set of splash tags. So if registration were to close, and then after registration, you were to decide, oh, I'm going to change my name to add the team tag in it, or I just feel like I want to change my name just because, you get a whole new series of splash tag numbers at the end of it. And all of a sudden, you could be the same person, or you could just be like, oh, well, we just switched it afterwards so we can sneak somebody else in. I'm not accusing anybody of doing that. I'm just saying that is a rule we have to implement as a fail-safe to make sure that happens. That's also why we don't allow you guys to have aliases. It's not because we're morons. It's that hate you. We're geniuses that hate you. But the problem with aliases is it hides the splash tag. It literally hides your identity. So if you use an alias, it could be anybody just pretending to be whoever that plays in it. In open tournaments, who cares? But in low-ink skill cap tournaments that has a tendency to draw out some jackasses that try to smurf their way in, we have to have those rules in place to protect ourselves. In Splatoon 2, if somebody changed their name, we're just going to be like, bruh, just go back out, change your name on the Switch, restart Splatoon, and you're fine. It'll take like 5 minutes. Here, if you change your name, you're stuck with it, and you're stuck with the new splash tag things for at least a month. So that's why we have that rule. Teams know about it. 99% of the teams didn't do it. It just so happened that the favorites to win this tournament were the only ones across the board who just broke that rule and really shot themselves in the foot because of it. But again, matter of opinion said, hey, your rules are just a matter of opinion. We're going to win this tournament anyways. And by the way, that's not the only adversity that Moo had to overcome. They lost one set early on Saturday, which basically put them in the situation of playing stressfully in the final 3 rounds of the Swiss stage, knowing if they lose one more time, it's 4-2, and it's basically the opponent win percentage that's going to bail them out and get them back in the top 32, which is the only spot they're going to be satisfied with at the end of Saturday. They overcame that, and when it came to top 32, they made history. We've had weird tiebreaker situations that couldn't be broken by Battle5's system alone, and it usually indicates like, hey, these two teams need to play against each other in a best of one or whatever. We've had that happen a handful of times in top 32. This time around, we had a top 32 group that was perfectly tied with the top 3 teams. So, once again, as we usually do with these tiebreakers, what can we pull out of our ass to A, not slow down this tournament, and B, let the teams decide amongst themselves who should be moving on and who shouldn't. So, well, Moo was in that group, and what we did is we took those 3 teams and we just said, you guys are playing a best of one Splat Zone Make-A-Mart against each other. Why? We just always do Splat Zones Make-A-Mart is like our default tiebreaker game. So we just made them play all the way through that. Moo won that one and let it escape. Is it fair to just dump that on them? We have to do a tiebreaker, and I would rather it be that instead of using the coin flip feature or what I've heard some other tournaments in Japan doing, which is whoever signed up first is the team that wins the tiebreaker, which is honestly kind of based. But I would rather, in tiebreaker scenarios, let the team settle it in the game than the TO stepping in and being like, because of this technicality, we put you in over that. Sometimes we have no choice but to do that because we can't just play forever. And in that tiebreaker format we came up with, they could have tied again. Like, they all could have gone 1-1 against each other. And then what do we do? I don't know. You can't just let them play forever. But I'm glad we gave them the opportunity to decide it in the game. And Moo escaped that, got into alpha bracket because of that bizarre tiebreaker that they were able to win, and then went on this run all the way to grand finals where they were down 1-2, won a game. They were down 3-2 and won 2 games. They were constantly down in that grand final set and then kept clawing and avoiding being eliminated until it finally got to a game 7 against Rainmaker Undertow, which is the one mode that Puma's Cats and everybody from OCE was beating their chest saying, you can't beat us here. Don't even try counterpicking this against us because it's going to be an auto L every single time you guys play us here. They didn't get the win that time. It was a close back and forth. It could have gone either way. It was an exciting way to end the tournament, but that was the toughest test of the bajillion tests that Matter of Opinion faced in 1 month, and they cleared every single obstacle. That one being the final boss that they were able to defeat. It's one of the most impressive tournament runs in Low Inc history when I stop and think about it. For reasons outside of their control and frustrating reasons that were always in their control. But they battled everything and were able to escape from it. I don't owe Moo an apology, though. Matter of Opinion was my number 2 team in my top 10. I had Super Team 5 as my number 1 team, and I believe Misk was my number 3, Ominous being 4. I don't owe him an apology. I feel like those top 3 teams, Super Team 5, Matter of Opinion, and Misk, were all right with each other. They all had certain qualities and results about them that you could have easily just moved those 3 around in any order. I felt like Super Team 5's previous history of being successful, going all the way to second place the last time there was this Low Inc, trumped Misk winning ladder Low Inc last month, and Matter of Opinion being in second place in Division 5, but also being an alpha bracket regular every single month that they sign up. And I stand by that. But at the end of the day, I don't owe Matter of Opinion an apology because I feel like they lived up to the hype that we all were kind of expecting from them, and which makes it even more impressive that they won, because traditionally you see a team completely under the radar that makes all the way through. We see teams like Puma's Cats win Low Inc every single month, which is why I was also thinking, well, these guys are just going to win because nobody knows who they are until it's too late. They already got you. We all knew who Matter of Opinion was. Everybody that played them through Saturday up through Sunday knew who they were. They might not know what their comp is, but they know that they are a name brand regular alpha bracket Low Inc team at this point. And most teams in that position that moves in got month after month after month. They fall into a trap game. They get upset. They get sent down to beta bracket. They have to drop because they go 4-2 with a bad opponent win percentage. So many things lined up against Matter of Opinion, and none of it mattered to them, as they were able to win and advance through all of those things. Hats off to them. Congratulations to Puma's Cats for flexing on everyone, proving all of us wrong, and providing one of the instant classic grand finals that we saw this month. You thought it was Miss Q? I thought it was Miss Q as well. However, I feel like there would have been a dash between Misk and Q. It's all one giant word, so the only way you can pronounce it is Misk, would be my assumption. K-Bot's the center of the world? Yeah, well. You're the center of my world. We'll talk about more low ink stuff coming up. First, we got to recap the week. SOS number 131 took place on Wednesday. It was won by Honey Badger. Clearly doesn't care. Enraged Girls taking second place in Skillful Pickup, rounding out your top three. Enraged being the only team I actually know just by looking at the team names by themselves. Honey Badger seems like it'd be a pretty good team name if it was an actual team. Don't think it is, though. It's made up of Proto, Rin, Lin, and I can't read my own handwriting with that. So we'll just go with SP. How about that? And that's really all I can say. When your team name is after that, nobody knows what the players are without looking at it. That's just kind of how these weekly tournaments go. Hammerhead was won by Eclipse. Mako Bracket was won by Gravity plus Luna. And Lantern Bracket was won by Scarlet Embers. Squid Junction number 58 took place on Saturday night. It was won by, even more boggling than Honey Badger, it was won by a emote of a monkey that has its hand over its mouth. I didn't even bother to look up that roster. I'm not even gonna lie. Project Rat finished in second place, and In Control Red Sun rounds out your top three. My biggest question from Squid Junction 58 is Red Sun finalized their roster yet? Like, I know they were doing tryouts, and they are like one of the most popular teams to try out for. Can they actually get a fourth or fifth member? I'm not really sure about that yet, but that's really the thing I was more interested in with Squid Junction 58. What's the future of Red Sun going to be? Picnic number 4 took place on Saturday, I believe at the same time as Lowing. It was won by Alliance Rogue. Baguette Gang took second place, and We Have a Bajillion Support Play was the team that finished in third place. The best thing about the Picnic tournament is that the screenshot of the final results goes all the way down from 1 to 7th place and includes the name and the profile picture of every single member on that team. If that is a normal feature on the Sindow website and not just something that he creates in like a graphic at the end of the tournament, then sign up every single tournament on the Sindow.now. You know how easy it is just to look and see a screenshot. Oh, here's all the players. I don't care. Oh, wow, monkey emote. Who cares? Oh, wow, those 4 players won Squid Junction. I can look at that without having to dig for that information. I am all for that. And that's really the best thing that came out of Picnic 4. Congratulations to Alliance Rogue for winning that tournament. But more excited about the future of things here. Everyone's always asking me opinion about what I think of the Nintendo Tournament Manager thing. I really don't care. I'm not. I'm never going to use it for low ink because we can't. And Proving Grounds, I'm much more interested in us moving to Sindow than the Nintendo thing, the format that we're going to do. I don't, at this time, genuinely see any legit tournament running on the Nintendo app. I stand to be corrected in the future if that is the case. In the NFL, the Colts beat the Steelers 30-13. If you think they should fire Mike Tomlin, I'm starting to not disagree with you more and more as the weeks go on. The Chiefs beat the New England Patriots 27-17. The Rams got a 28-20 win over the Washington Commanders. Amazingly enough, all 3 of the teams, Steelers, Chiefs, and Rams that we cover here on the Popcast, are all still eligible to make it into the playoffs. I'm kind of hoping the Rams do, because I don't think we have any draft picks for the next decade or so. So why not try? And that was your weekly recap. Sponsored by the Popcast Awards, which will be taking place on January the 1st. The annual awards that we do here on the Popcast, given out to the best TOs, best teams, best team captains, best individual play, best this and that. We're going to add best up-and-coming commentator of the year. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff here on January the 1st. That'll be the next episode of the Popcast because we got holiday stuff going on. The annual Popcast Awards, the official sponsor of today's segment of the weekly recap. Funniest man at Breeze? No. Absolutely not. I'm not saying you weren't. I'm just saying you, or I'm not going to give you an award for it. Let's hand out some winner awards here. Looking at the Swiss stage from Saturday, here are my winners. First off, Inkception went 5-1 during the Swiss stage, getting some key wins over Camp Flyfish, Squid Roll-Ups, Truck, Static Shock, and Eternal Eclipsia. The turning the corner month for Inkception, one of the oldest, longest running teams here in Low-Ink. I have a soft spot in my heart for the teams that have been playing in Low-Ink for such a long time. It's not a quick jump for a lot of teams. Sometimes it's a slow burn, but we like to see those teams eventually take those next steps at their own pace. Inkception went 5-1 this time around. Cosmic Latte went 4-2, getting some key wins over Lost Inklings, Dark Matter, Solar Wave, and the Criminals. This team, I believe, used to be known as Cosmic Slushy. So being known as the Cosmic Latte team is now a huge upgrade in just its name alone. It really reflected in their play as they went 4-2. Unlucky went 5-1 in this tournament, beating Cosmic Latte, the UK Mafia, the Criminals, and Arrows of Fire. However, Unlucky beat a team called the Criminals and the UK Mafia in the same day. That has to put you on some sort of list in the criminal underworld, which is unlucky for this team. So hopefully they can avoid any kind of trouble and sign up for the next tournament of Low-Ink if they're still eligible for it. Arrows of Fire went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Point of View, Low-Ink Messed You Up, Static Shock, Critical Error, and Almond Nuts. I talked about how Arrows of Fire seemed to be the last team left alive, and here they are, proving that fire is clearly better than ice and love and, potassium, I guess, whatever other elements that you can put on a fire there. Yogurt Party, you're invited, went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over We Aquatic Little Creatures, Confetti Team, Rainbow Ink, and Perfect Symphony. Yogurt Party got gold bracket of Little Squid League number 34, and now they had a party on their way to the top 32. I believe they partied their way into alpha bracket as well with the yogurt that they had. Big Tommy and the Splats went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Hallucination, Nacarius Dragons, Crystallized Snowflakes, and Saizygia. Somebody's going to have to tell me how to pronounce that last team name because I'm going to be talking about them in a second. All right, so Big Tommy and the Splats. Let's talk about this. As those of you are aware of the inside joke that's been going on for years in Low-Ink, if you have a team name that we dub inappropriate, we change it to Little Timmy and the Splats for you. So if you ever look back in the past of Low-Inks and you see a team named Little Timmy and the Splats, they never called themselves that. We forced their name to be that. It's kind of like the putting the dunce hat on you and putting you in the corner. Well, if you notice, there was a team called Little Timmy and the Splats. And when we used that name and then we saw this name that this team originally had, we're like, okay, you are now Big Tommy and the Splats. So we had to resort to that. What would we have done if we had one more team name? We debated it and we came up with this. if we have to change 3 teams' names in a month, the third team is going to be called Mid Tammy in the Splats. And if we have to go to a 4th one, I think we just stop the tournament at that point. But Big Tommy and the Splats went 4-2. SYZGIA. Actually, no, it's SYZYGIA. Shizygia went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Ocean's Delight, No Name, Remix, and Hallucination. The last time this team played in a tournament was Little Squid League number 35, where they ended up ganking gold bracket. This time around, going 4-2. Would like to see improvement there. Celestial went 4-2 in this tournament, getting key wins over Remix, Blaze, Splabooey, and Big Babel. They won a From the Ink Up just, I don't know when they did it, but they did at some point. And this is the best that a 4-2 team did in Group B because their opponent win percentage was 69.4%, the highest opponent win percentage of anybody that was in Group B. This is fine. Went 5-1 in Low Ink, getting key wins against Hollow Ink, the Whip Rays, Prospect Mira, Half and Half, and Half and Half was the other team that they beat. They got 4th in bronze and From the Ink Up number 55, and then in this tournament they went 5-1, ended up finding their way into top 32. That is quite the glow up. Mid Tech, a new team, made a splash in this tournament, going 4-2 on Saturday, getting key wins over Arts and Crafts, Blaha Brigade, Alley Cats, and Squid EST. They probably played a lot better than what we projected them to do. It seemed to be like a newer-ish team made up of a mix of oldish veteran players, which is pretty much a lot. Like 20% of the teams in Low Ink are always like brand new team names, but none of the players are brand new to Low Ink at all. But Mid Tech made a pretty decent alpha run as well with their 4-2 result in their first tournament. So not too shabby. Half and Half went 4-2, getting key wins over the Whip Rays, the Breakfast Club, Krill Streak, and 10 grams of protein. Half and Half dropped the last time that there was a Low Ink back in October. This time around, they decided to play the tournament all the way through, and they find themselves in the top 32 because of it. Not a big fan of Half and Half. I'm starting to drink my coffee to straight black, but even when I did put creamer in my coffee, I would just go straight with the French vanilla stuff. Not about the Half and Half. Commit or don't. Diamond Rays got a 4-2 record on Saturday, getting key wins over Nova Nightshade, Sodify, Kiwi Ice Cream, and Origami Dragons. I am assuming the Diamond Rays are a college team because they did play in a CCA exam tournament. However, when I Googled what a Diamond Ray, which university might have the Diamond Rays as a mascot, the only thing that kept popping up was the Tampa Bay Rays. So I don't know what university, if any, the Diamond Rays represent. I can at least say that one of their players played in a CCA tournament. Speaking of Kiwi Ice Cream, they did pretty good in this tournament as well, going 4-2, getting key wins over Somersite, Sonora, Category 5, and Moon Slice. So if you look closely enough, you will notice that Kiwi Ice Cream was placed in 2 different groups. Something went weird with the seeding bot. And by the way, the seeding was done exclusively by Brush and myself because we were the only 2 that could do seeding. Typically, it's like a 5-person job to get it all done in time. We somehow seeded 4 Swiss groups and ran over help desk, which was just going nuts with all kinds of silly questions. We did all of that and still got the tournament started on time. But there was some sort of bug, not in how we implemented teams, but how our bot spat out the groups to us to implement, where multiple teams were put in separate groups. I don't know why that was. Hopefully we can get that fixed so it's not something we have to like literally hand manually check over, because that's going to take a lot of time to do. Kiwi Ice Cream had a bye in round 1 of one group and then played an actual game in another group. So we realized they were in 2 different groups until round 2 started. By then, it's too late to change the Swiss groups. So we just dropped them from one group and had them play out the other one. So if you look, you'll see they're dropped and still technically playing in the tournament at the same time. Only with our jank Low Ink staff can we pull off something like that. The biggest winner, in my opinion, from the Swiss stage on Saturday does not go to Puma's Cats, who went completely undefeated, 100% win rate. No, it goes to the team called Shell Outs, who went 4-2, getting key wins over Drum and Bass, the Diamond Rays, Category 5, and Blake Spurter. A reason why they are the best winners, in my opinion, from the Swiss stage is because they went 2-4 the last time they played in Lowick. This time around, going 4-2 and comfortably qualifying for top 32. Nicely done, Shellouts, taking advantage of those last 2 months and getting stronger. IVC, what university is that? Had an amazing idea for what to name the actual awards. The Pop Champs? The Pop Champs? I don't know. Potential. By the way, there was the last episode of the podcast, I asked you guys to name one of the teams for us. We didn't change that team name. I forgot. And we said had to use Little Timmy and the Splats for inappropriate names. There was one name that was like, whoa, like, I don't know if you realize this might be kind of offensive here. Irvine Valley College. Okay. Irvine Valley College has a Splatoon team. And somehow Western Kentucky University doesn't. Also, I'm pretty sure the CCA just makes up universities at this point. Like, there's no way Polytech Institute is a real thing. Let's take a look at the Sunday brackets. Sunday bracket. And we want to zoom in a little bit here. Screen share. There we go. No Epsilon bracket this time around. And, well, that's just kind of how things are, unfortunately. But we do have a Delta bracket. And the fact that we have a Delta bracket is still pretty impressive. I never want it to be lost on us that 150 teams playing it in a tournament is still a crazy, stupid number of teams to be playing in this event. 2 Decembers ago, we had 53 teams playing an event. And we didn't even have a gamma. We didn't have a gamma bracket. We just had a beta and an alpha back then. What a difference 2 years has made. We're now 3 times the size as what we were. Delta brackets. Let's give a quick shout out to Remix. Not to be confused with Remix, which we haven't seen in a while. Or Reflux Remix, wherever those teams are. This is just plain old Remix. This Remix team, I believe, is just some former players of Celestia, not to be confused with Celestial, that played in this tournament. But this Remix team made it all the way to round 4, getting a couple of wins along the way against Squid Roll-Ups, low quality, some scrappy wins against these two teams before the Criminals knocked them out. And then, let's talk about this other team here. We'll pop up their full team name. Guys, we need to come up with a name. Is that from Bloons Tower Defense, that monkey right there in particular? This is the team name we should have changed because it was too long. And when you have long names, it usually makes things kind of weird. We definitely didn't stream them because we didn't want to put their long name up on stream. So if you're wondering if a long name is going to cause the TOs to change it, yeah, but it's also going to make us make sure we don't stream you, period. Which some of you are probably going to start changing your names to make them longer so that we don't stream you. But don't do that. We want to put you guys on stream. You got to do it at some point if you want to win. But that team name, guys, we need to change our team name. Did do pretty well in this Delta bracket here. It looks like they lost pretty early on somewhere. Yeah, they had the awkward bye. We couldn't find a team to fill this Delta spot. No, we had 2 buys. They probably just dropped last minute, and it's too hard to find teams at that point. Crystallized Snowflakes knocked them down, but they do make the losers bracket run, which we love to see here on the Popcast. Several 2-1 wins along the way. Squid Roll-Ups, UK Mafia. They beat the UK Mafia, the entire Mafia, and Remix knocked them out before Perfect Symphony got them in a Game 3 here. So nicely done to these guys. If you're watching this, next time just name yourselves the Purple Parrots. That's the way to go. Much better team name. I can even send you a logo for it. Just search Legends of the Hidden Temple Purple Parrots. There you go. That's a fantastic team name. I also want to spend some time talking about the Criminals here, because if you look at the names of the players that are on the Criminals, it makes sense. You got tax fraud, you got a person who just says they do crime, and there's no way this website, if 2 years ago you would have thought this was a porn website, x.com. No, this is one of the biggest social media websites, if not the biggest social media one. So yeah, these guys' name and logo fits everything perfectly. They couldn't find a way to steal the win here in the losers finals against Perfect Symphony, but they still take home the bronze in Delta Bracket. I hope that's a real team because their names kind of fit the crime there. For grand finals of Delta Bracket, we are looking at Crystallized Snowflake and Perfect Symphony, who actually had a little bit of back and forth against each other right here. Who knocked out Perfect? Okay, so this is a rematch. These teams played each other 3 times, and each set ended in a 3-1 result, taking turns beating each other. So pretty good back and forth between these two teams. Perfect Symphony, I don't know. Perfect Symphony did have a little bit of struggling against a couple of these teams, especially in the best of 3 rounds here. Poor UK Mafia. But still, what can I say about these two teams? For Crystallized Snowflakes, the team that ended up winning this entire tournament, they appear to be a new team that is a mix of players that are veterans to Loink and one player that is brand new. So there you go. That's really the only thing I have to say about them at this time. And for Perfect Symphony, pretty much the same exact thing. Another team of former, I used to be on this team, I used to be on Continuous Virtue or whatever. Let's break apart, make a new team. Are these pickups or projects? Who knows? But they seem to be right with each other, which makes things fun. And Crystallized Snowflake is the team that ended up winning this one. I did have some like pellet snow following me today. Criminal players Crime Man 6 and Tax Fraud both came from recently disbanded teams Sparkling Sea and IRS respectively. Okay. The IRS disbanded? I don't know about that. If that's the case, then I'm not downloading TurboTax in about a month. I don't think the IRS disbanded. Although I feel like our government's trying to do that. Yeesh. What's next? Gamma? Gamma. Hey guys, the IRS disbanded. It's been a great ride. Here's one more drip pick. I'm sorry, what? Gamma brackets. I gave Inkception a pat on the back because they're a long-time low ink team and they have a soft spot in my heart. The same always goes out for Origami Dragons, one of my favorite teams that I've been talking about here on the podcast. Look at this. They get the run of a lifetime in losers bracket of Gamma bracket, beating this team name I can't pronounce, but I talked about them earlier. Blake Sproder, Eternal Oblivion, and the Shadow Squids before ultimately getting knocked out in a Game 3 against the Lost Inklings. The Origami Dragons, better and better and better. We'd like to see it, and I'm happy for them. I hope they have continued success. I would love to see them continue to I'd like to see them make a top 32 at some point. Let's put them in alpha bracket. How about that? The Shadow Squids is one of the teams that they knocked out here. The Shadow Squids got a couple of wins along the way before falling down the losers bracket. Kiwi Ice Cream and Squid EST before Static Shock stopped them and sent them all the way down until Origami Dragons knocked them out. Shadow Squids went 4-2 in October. They're pretty much a borderline top 32 team, which you could make the argument for anybody that's in Gamma bracket, borderline top 32. But I feel like the Shadow Squids are going to be a team that we're going to be taking an eye on in the beginning, the winter stages of this tournament, because they're consistently knocking on the door and making top 32. We'll see what they do when they finally go 5-1 or get a strong opponent win percentage and they get there. Lost Inklings deserves something. We have to talk about them because they made third place. Probably not the bracket they wanted to end up in, because they've been in top 32 before. I want to say they've made at least one trip to Alpha bracket. I could be wrong, but that's the caliber that they should be aiming for. I'm glad they played all the way through Gamma anyways, because that's just going to make them better. But they take home third place, and this kind of highlights how strong some of these other teams are. Camp Juice and Static Stop. Static Stop, not Static Shock, ends up taking second place as Camp Juice doesn't let it go beyond a game 4 like they did the first time they played in winners finals. Camp Juice said, we got to hurry this up. We got some things to do. We got to go watch Christmas lights with our mom. So they were able to finish this one off in the 3-0 grand finals. What can I say about these two teams? For Static Stop, this looks like a CCA pickup. And I wonder if that works, because there were some players that were from different teams within the CCA. And did they enter the transfer portal with all the football players right now, and they all got placed on a different school, or what? I'm not quite sure, but that's the information that I could find just briefly looking at them. For Camp Juice, they got MSU in their name when they played in Little Squiddly. Are they also a CCA team? Are they repping Michigan State? I'm not quite sure, but Camp Juice, when they played in Little Squiddly number 33, they got one massive win and 3 giant L's. They went from that to winning Gamma Bracket. Check that. Sweeping grand finals of Gamma Bracket. This is now the bracket that is really the one that you want to gun for. It used to be if you win beta, you're going to become something. Overtime won Gamma Bracket last month, or back in October, and look where they are now. Keep your eye on Camp Juice. It sounds like a disgusting name, but their gameplay is sick. Oh my gosh. We're almost done. So many college teams. I like the college teams because they're not idiots in help desk. They can find the answers for themselves. Or they're at least polite in help desk. Beta bracket is for the huge. Not much to say about this. This is the bracket absolutely nobody's happy to be playing in. In the past, yeah, it'd probably be nice, but this time around, hey, you just lost in top 32. Here's a bracket for you. And, a lot of I'm happy that these teams still play. If a team drops from beta bracket, again, I don't condemn that at all. I understand some teams are going for top 32 just trying to win the whole thing. The baddest beat out of all of this was the team that finished in second place, Aquarius. You remember I talked about that perfect 3-way tie? Aquarius was the team that took the L out of that 3-way tie. Ominous and Matter of Opinion were the teams that were able to advance out of the 3-way tie. So Aquarius, at the end, we created this separate little side chat for these teams to quickly get the lobby going and get the matches done. And at the end of it, it's GG's, you guys all have made history. And Aquarius was like, oh boy, thanks. I'm so happy to be a part of history. I didn't feel bad. I laughed and I felt bad that I laughed, but hey, they made the most of it here. They went all the way to second place against a Hydra team that was flexing on people. Only dropped 3 games. I was looking at the wrong side, and then I was looking at it wrong again. Hydra did good, and Hydra's a team that I probably should be putting in the top 10, or at least putting in the honorable mention. And I feel like I haven't been respecting Hydra because I've always seen them as one of those teams that's been taking a while, one of those slow burning teams to get to the point to where they are now, because they are one of those really older, lowing teams. But now they got a beta bracket win underneath their belt, an impressive beta bracket win underneath their belt. Zestfest won a Little Squid League earlier this year and have been a strong team. They beat Prospect Myra, who is another mix of players that flowing, so another pickup team, but still the team that finished third place overall. And Aquarius is the team that I put in my top 10 as I don't know how good these guys are, but they could probably win this tournament and nobody would realize it until it's too late. Finished in second place in beta bracket, so nicely done to Hydra. I should be giving these guys more respect than what I have been in my previews, because their results as of late has kind of shown that they've taken that next step into being a legit serious contender every month going forward. Much like these guys. Alpha bracket. First off, let's talk about overtime. And I just want to say, I didn't think overtime initially was going to be that good of a team until I looked into what they've been doing recently. And I was like, oh, yeah, wait, these are a top 10. This is the top 10 team. And after they 3-0'd Super Team 5, as me and Saf are commentating, I'm starting, okay, these guys are legit. At this point of the tournament, I didn't think anybody was going to beat Puma's Cats at all because this was the first time they lost with this one game to Ink Black. And I was just like, all right, these guys are just going to embarrass us all. But when overtime beat Super Team 5 in the fashion that they did, I thought they were legit. I thought, okay, this is it. They're just having that kind of month. They're going to surprise everyone. And then matter of opinion, well, I said that's just a matter of opinion, and they had other things to say about it. Moving on to knocking them down to the fourth place is where they ultimately end up being. Overtime, though, is going to be a legit contender. And I hope they had fun this time around. They seem like a really fun team. I like that they make fun of themselves on Twitter whenever they do something silly in the game. And I like that they were the ones that fell through the floor because I feel like that's just instant content for them. And well, I've been laughing at it the whole time. They're just a fun team and they're really good. The problem though is when you make this stage of the tournament, the first time it's fun. Every other time after this though, it's not fun unless you win it, which is the most stressful part of Lowing to be a part of. As matter of opinion, they've been here for several months. It's now win or disappointment for overtime. How are they going to handle that kind of stress going forward? Not my problem. Something Blaze has to worry about as well. Blaze being a team that was in beta bracket last time, now in top 3, seemingly out of nowhere. Another team that I just completely missed. And when you play as good as it, yeah, Puma's Cats, took care of business against them. So be it. That's just a tough team that they had to go up against. They still beat Ominous 3-1. They still beat Alliance Moon 3-1. And by the way, this is a good result for Alliance Moon. I understand probably wanted more based off of how they did in Ladder Inc. and how they did in Minnow Cup, but still, I think this is still a good result for Alliance Moon and just a better result for Blaze. I think it says more about Blaze in general and what we should be expecting from this team going forward. And yes, they did actually play this out. I did look at the chat. Those two teams did play. For Puma's Cats versus Matter of Opinion, I don't want to use the phrase ran out of gas because I don't know if that's fair or not. If anybody ran out of gas, I would assume it's the EU team Matter of Opinion where it's super late for them versus Puma's Cats where, yes, they started off the day incredibly early, like at 3 a.m., but by the time the tournament ends, the sun is starting to rise for them, whereas in Europe, the sun is already set and they're running out of energy. Those like weird dynamics of clashing against each other of who's like got a little bit left in the tank over the course of a long best of 7 set. And I think Matter of Opinion was just the better skilled team in that set as to why they were able to win it. Puma's Cats, I was curious why they didn't go back to Rainmaker in game 5, instead counterpicking Splat Zones when they could have counterpicked Rainmaker, but it made sense because they had to win 2 more games. You would rather have that Rainmaker be the 4th game that you win instead of the 3rd game that you win. There's no way they could have gone the Rainmaker 3 times. So, and they looked fantastic on Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime. By the way, leave feedback about the maps. We do read those. Just because you say, oh, this map sucks doesn't mean like we're going to take it out of the map pool or anything. But sometimes like Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime, like I genuinely don't know what people think about that one. It gets counterpicked a lot, but I saw a lot of uncompetitive games of Splat Zones, Barnacle, and Dime. Over the course of the set, like overtime bodied everyone on it, and then Puma's Cats bodied people on it as well. It was yikes. regardless of that, what can we expect from these teams going forward? For Pumas Cats, again, just another example of strong teams from the OCE that we haven't been giving enough credit to, and until they do a result like this, we have no choice but to talk about them. It's hard to say if we're going to see them play in more tournaments going forward, just because, well, if they want to play, you got to get up at 3 a.m. in order to knock it out. But for matter of opinion, I'm sure there's plenty of tournaments that are EU favored that they are playing in up to this point. And again, this is a team that is name brand alpha bracket that everybody knew going into this one. That usually fizzles out around this round or whatever. Instead, was able to find the month where it all worked together. So next month, that could be the Alliance Moons that win, or the Ink Blacks, or the Overtimes, or like any of these other normal teams. But the problem with winning it this way, that Matter of Opinion did, is eventually you have to go up against a team nobody's heard of, that nobody values, until they just completely fly underneath the radar. Matter of Opinion being one of the rare teams that actually get a dub in that scenario. Nicely done to them. A few highlighted things, and then we're leaving. Epic Pikachu, has there been any update on whether Monkey is okay? Man has given his life for his team. The last that I saw, they finished the Troll Bridge, and now they're going through the Candy Cane Forest in search of the next ordeal that they're going. Look, Monkey's going to be stuck in there for years. And again, it's some sort of like time dilation thing, to where like 1 minute for us is like an eternity for Monkey. So like Monkey's not going to come back the same person we knew when they fell through that tower thing. For us, I mean, we're going to still be here. We're still going to be the same, but for every minute that goes by, you just got to be thinking about what they're going through. That's the latest update I have. Out of gas if possible, but also both Moo and Pumas Cats only dropped 2 games on the way to finals, but it ultimately just depended on Stu had the energy, keep going irrespective of time zones. Well, you also got to factor in that Matter of Opinion had to play that awkward tiebreaker thing that we forced together. They played more stressful Splatoons. Best of 1. You win, you move on, you lose, you fall down. That's got to be the most stressful thing that you could possibly do. And, oh, by the way, when you're done with that, now you got all of Alpha Bracket to go through. So that's tough. They still won anyways. That is it for this year. What a lovely year for the Popcast. We'll be back on the first day next year. Oh, hi, Monkey. Hopefully you can figure a way to get through all of that stuff. We'll be back on the first day of 2024 so that we can do the Popcast Awards and recap the entire year of 2023. The calendar just works out that way, guys. I understand we're going to do a 2023 recap in the year 2024. Life be like that sometimes. If you'd like to be a part of the Popcast in any way, feel free to reach out my socials below. Somebody DM'd me yesterday trying to convince us that the seeding that we do for top 32 is unfair. And while I was looked at what they said and realized, oh, wait a minute, no, you're wrong. It is actually fair. Those are still kind of interesting. So if you have like interesting stuff to send me, feel free to reach out my socials below. Twitter at Mr_Popgun, Discord Popgun, YouTube at 25Popgun, Twitch at Popgun25, Anchor.fm/Popgun, or Blue Sky. I do have some Blue Sky codes. If you want a Blue Sky code, just DM me. I'll send it to you. I misspelled Jazzocorn. Raid. Make sure you guys stay safe. Get vaccinated. Wear a mask. Try not to punch your grandma at Christmas or New Year's or whatever. And I will see you guys in 2024.